Okay guys, I know I wasn't here for day 10 with the trees, but I didn't have much for trees. But I am here for day 11, the reason for the season, right? Day 11, yes, with our beautiful Brenda and Miss Jackie. Check their channel links down below in the description box and the playlist link. Okay guys, we're going to start with 2 of these boards from the Dollar Tree and 3 painting sticks. I'm going to take the twine off, both of those boards from the Dollar Tree. And then I'm going to take some wood glue and put it in the middle right there to stick those 2 pieces together. And then I'm going to glue one of those painter sticks to the back. So I'm just strictly using wood glue on the edge of that right there. I'm going to mush them, line them up together, push while I'm holding and pushing those together. I'm going to take one of the painting sticks, put a little wood glue, and then also some hot glue. So we got a permanent hold and a temporary hold right on that strip where they connect. That's all I'm putting on that side. Now, wiping this side off, getting some of the crusties and stuff off. Now I'm going to take the other 2 painter sticks and put them on each end. And we always know with the painter sticks, there's a little dip. So I'm making sure on one side the dip is at the top and on the other side the dip is at the bottom. I used the wood glue and the hot glue. Wood glue came from the Dollar Tree, by the way. Okay, I'm taking my little finger sander and I'm making sure that those grooves to make it look like shiplap are a little bit smoother because being from Dollar Tree, they're pretty rough and I wanted to get those dug out. I took my plaster Waverly chalk paint from Walmart and I gave that whole thing 1 coat. That's all I gave it was 1 coat. And then I have this wall decal that was from Walmart, but I got it at Goodwill for only $2. But I think they're pretty cheap, even just getting it from Walmart. Now, I was showing you in that picture, since I'm getting behind already, that there was like a grayish brownish around the black of the cross that's on the wall decal. And so the mineral Waverly chalk paint matched that perfect. So what I'm doing now is I took that and my just a chippy brush from the Dollar Tree, and I am just distressing it a little. I distressed it a little bit more on those painter sticks. And then I'm also getting some smaller distressing brushes, chippy brushes, whatever brushes, and going in those shiplap lines right there, the grooves. And then I'm just taking a little bit of a wipey and kind of wiping off some of the excess. So here is our wall decal. Beautiful. I love this. I was so excited to find this. And I don't know if they still have this or not at Walmart. But so this was a hot mess, but I cut a lot of that out for you. I decided first, before I do anything, let me take a measurement and find the center. So that's what I did right there. And then I started, I can't just slap this on there. Let me look at what the picture looks like on the box. So I thought, okay, so the pine cone is about in the center. So I'm lining the pine cone up on my line and keeping it down toward the bottom. So I make sure. Now, I am not sticking this all the way down, because it pulls up, but if you really press it down good, it's probably not going to pull up. So I'm just barely laying it down. And then see, because like with that side, I realized, oh, wait, I got to put the cross on first because some of the leaves overlap and are on top of the cross. So that's kind of why I was very glad I did not just go ahead and stick those flat down. So make sure when you're placing these on, just place them down. They will pull off a little bit, but if you press those suckers on good, yeah, they might come off, but it probably won't be pretty. So I never had pushed these on really good all the way. I just barely set them on there. Now, here I go through a bunch of shenanigans of this still isn't centered. It's driving me nuts. You can see I take my tape measure because I wanted to have the same space from one end of the foliage to the end of the board, and I just kept moving this back and forth because that's who I am. So I finally decided to mark, okay, the edge of the greenery needs to be right there to make it even on both sides. So once that was done, I decided, okay, now I know this is good. So now I'm rubbing this down really, 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 really good. And we got that. And that looks pretty centered. Look, double checking. Not that I could do anything about it, but I had to erase my pencil mark I made because that was showing through the clearish wall decal. Anyway, so here we go. So now it looks pretty centered for the most part, right? Yeah, it does. So they had the Christmas kind of divided into 2 pieces. I'm using my shiplap lines to kind of guide myself. So you see how that C is right against the edge. Well, now we're going to put the muss on, and I'm going to line it up, and I'm thinking, holy crap, crap, cow, sorry, apologize, whichever. Look at all that space on the other side. It looks centered, but it's not centered. Oh my gosh, so I'm flipping out right about now, right? But it's already stuck down. The cross and the leaves were already stuck down, and so was the Chris. So the muss was, yeah, there was no getting that back up. So I'm in panic mode right now, but I'm going to go ahead and carry on. We can do this. So I'm taking my Mary there, and I'm just, again, using my shiplap lines, words, oh my Lanza. And I got that on there. That was pretty easy. Now I decided, okay, so there's a lot of snowflakes on this. So I'm going to take these snowflakes and use them to my advantage. And I'm not even looking at the box anymore at this point. Because apparently the box didn't help me too much. But anyway, so I'm just taking the snowflakes and filling in that wide gap over on the right-hand side. And then there's some medium ones, there's some little ones, there's some tiny ones, 2 different things. Now, I didn't use them all, so I'm putting those up and I'm going to save them. But at that made me happy. That didn't look too bad. I'm okay with that. We're good. Now, I'm going to go back to that mineral chalk paint, and I'm going to distress over the top of the decal. This made it kind of blend in, but it did kind of show the edges of the decal, as you can see. But it did put some distressing on the decal itself. So I was happy. Now, this was some things I had in my stash that my great friend Shelly gave me. I guess they're napkin rings to put on your napkins since it was round like that. I'm going to cut that off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these in the corners where the dips are in the painter sticks. So I'm kind of just cut the end off of that. I fluffed it out. See where the dips are? I'm just going to hot glue those on right there in the crook. Okay, that's what I'm showing you. We're a ton of hot glue on the board, ton of hot glue on the foliage there. And it's like just some pine, some holly leaves, 2 pine cones, and some berries were all in that. So I got those 2 glued on, and it's not too bad. I'm happy with it. It was a good thing that I did the bottom with the dip in the paintbrush on that side where I had the wide gap, because that greenery also helped fill that in and take your eye away from it. Okay, I'm just hot gluing a thicker jute twine than what we normally use to the back of this. I had these little wood slats in my stash, and I glue the twine down, and then I glue one of these pieces of wood stick on top of that, pushing it down. I'm happy now. I'm happy. We're okay. I had a sigh of relief, and then just cutting those ends off, and then there we go. Like, comment, subscribe, and hype it up. Whoop, whoop. Here we go, guys. Here's our shiplap 2 Dollar Tree boards that I put together, painted in plaster with some mineral chalk paint to distress it. I love the way this turned out, and ooh, that Walmart decal. Ooh, if they still have that, I want to go grab some more. And again, guys, I know this is some old videos, but we got some new peeps here. Okay, guys, here we go. So I got this little nativity set from the Dollar Tree, and then I had this panel in my stash from something my friend Shelly gave me. It looks like it came from Michael's, and I'm sure it was purchased on clearance. Now, I took the little metal hanger off the back because it's never centered. Now, you can see that I took some antique Waverly wax and put it around the edge, and then I realized, no, that's not going to work. I don't want that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to paint the background of this like it is a sky, a nighttime sky. So up at the very top, that is a dot of black by Apple Barrel. And then the next color is a midnight blue by Folk Art Home Decor. And then the next color is Home Decor Chalk Paint Imperial. And then I've got Waverly Ocean. And then there is an Apple Barrel color Royal Blue. And at the bottom is Pool by Waverly. Okay. I'm taking this brush to start with and getting myself started. And as I go along, I'm realizing getting into the roughness of this wood, because I didn't really sand it down before I got started, it wasn't working out very well. So I go and I get just a chippy brush for the first coat of this so that I could really get down into the grooves of the wood. So as you see, what I'm doing is I'm just kind of going back and forth, and I'm blending all the blues together. And I go over this, and guys, do this as many times as you want, with as many colors as you want. You can see the purple kind of up at the top above the curve of the plaque right there. I did add a little bit of purple, kind of between the darker blue and the medium blue. And then I blended it all together. You can see I'm kind of getting around the edges right there. I go from top to bottom, then bottom to top. I'm kind of just doing an ombre thing. I realized once that was done, I did need some more black, so I made sure I put some more black at the top because I wanted it a little bit darker at the top. I'm kind of just trying to touch up my edges. Guys, I played with this for the longest time, and this is what I came up with. I just kept going back over it until I was happy with it. Let that dry overnight, and then, while that was drying and before I went to bed, I took that nativity scene from Dollar Tree, and I'm only using Joseph, Mary, the stable, and baby Jesus. I did not use the wise men or the little plaque that they can all be popped into. I'm just taking my antique Waverly wax and a baby wipe, and I just wipe them all down. Now, this is the next day. Come home. It was all dry, looked good. I was happy. I'm taking my white Waverly chalk paint and a toothbrush, and I'm dipping my toothbrush in it, not getting too much, but just enough to cover the bristles. Already making a mess, see? Now I'm going to take another paintbrush, the skinny end, and I'm going to brush upward. I'm kind of trying to show you brush up, like toward the wall, okay? And it just splatters it everywhere, but it's not getting on you. It's just getting on the table. And look at that big white dot. That worked out perfect. That right there is God talking, my friends, because once you see the final product, you'll understand. I'm going to take this paintbrush right here, and I know I have sped this up like a bazillion times. I did this so slowly. I took advantage of that big old blob of paint that landed there, and I'm creating the North Star. I guess it would be the star that led them to the baby Jesus. And so you just make like a cross, and then you put then an X on top of it. And then I just touched it up there in the middle a little bit and dried it up, and boom, there we go. We have our background. And then taking my white again, the star was white, and now I'm taking my white and I'm doing my edges, and I'm trying to be careful not to get on the inside of the frame, but I kind of do a little bit. But before I touch that up, because you could kind of see it over there on the other side, I get the edges with white, so I just kind of go over that. Everything with white got at least 2 coats. Now what I'm going to do is take that midnight black, and I'm going to just go up at the top and go around where I got some of the white in. Just doing that up and around the curve and about halfway down with just that color. I'm not going to the lighter color. With the lighter color, I'm using Dusk, which I did end up blending in as well, but I didn't show you guys that. Like I said, I must have blended those blues and blacks and purples together for I don't know how long, but I figured you didn't want to see all that. And so I'm just taking the Dusk color and touched up the bottom inside, and then now I'm just taking my white, touching up my outside again, because I couldn't stand just this little touch of blue here, there, yawn, and whatever. And there we go. I'm finally happy with the way it looks. Got a white border, got my nighttime sky. We're now going to take some wood glue from the Dollar Tree and some hot glue, because I want to make sure I get a temporary hold and a permanent hold. And we're going to put our wood glue and our hot glue. Going to take some raffia in a minute, and I'm going to cut that up into a billion tiny small pieces to make it hay. So I'm taking my wood glue and my hot glue, trying to be careful to just dot it here and there and not mix them up all together, because I know that's not good. It's got the little prongs at the bottom of the characters and the stable to put in that little flat plate to pop those all in, but I just line those up at the bottom. That's why I'm using the raffia to make the hay, because then that'll cover up all those little points that snap down in the stand if you were to actually put it together the way it was made. So I've got everybody in where I want them. And now I'm going to take this raffia I had was really, 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 really long. I'm going to take a chunk of it and take my scissors, and I must have cut this for 5-10 minutes, but figured you didn't want to see all that. You can see how tiny I got those shreds. I was trying to turn it into hay, not really long pieces of straw. So I'm going to start under baby Jesus. I'm going to get under his manger right there, and I'm just going to pile it on, and then I'm using my silicone thing there from the Dollar Tree, so I don't hopefully burn my fingers too bad. And you can see I knocked most of it off, but there were still some here and there. I'm just going to take my little fine point scissors, and I'm going to trim it up a little bit, give it a little bit of a haircut. I guess I could have slowed that down some so you could see that, but you know. Now I'm going to kind of get under Mary and Joseph there and do the same exact thing. And then I'll knock it all off, and then I'll trim it up a little bit. And once I've trimmed it, then I'm going to go and kind of taper it down the edges. I don't go all the way out to the sides, but I kind of taper it down like in a pile. And that's what I'm doing right now. So it's not straight across. It kind of tapers like a hill. And it doesn't go all the way to the edges either. So, and then I trim up some other places where it had got stuck and got behind Mary and Joseph there, and use my heat gun to just kind of blow that off, not really necessarily heat everything up, using that little pick to kind of dig out from underneath. Now, I used my Cricut on some white vinyl, which is the Hello Hobby stuff, which is from Walmart, and it's not too bad. And I'm also using my masking tape transfer paper stuff because this is good to use so that you don't pull your paint off your project. I just found a little stencil off Cricut, not stencil, but image off Cricut Design Space that said, "Oh Holy Night." That is my absolute favorite hymn, Christmas carol, Christmas song, whatever you want to call it. I'm a perfectionist, so I had to measure and make sure I was even on both sides, taking my scraper. And I'm just trying to stay over the words there so the whole thing doesn't stick. And I am very slowly, like I said, this is sped up a lot. But I'm very slowly pulling that transfer tape off. This transfer tape is awesome because it's enough to stick, but it is not sticky so bad that it pulls your paint up. And there we have it. All pretty, all nice. Absolutely love it. Isn't it beautiful? I was so excited and so happy about this piece. So pleased with it. Oh, I just love it. I can't believe my paint turned out that good. Now all we needed to do is put a hanger on the back. I'm not going to put that little metal hanger back on the back because I don't like the way it sticks out the top. So I'm just taking some jute twine. I tied it off at the end. And now what I'm going to do is measure, and it was 10 inches wide. So I put a mark at the 5 right in the center there. And I also come down a little bit because I don't want to see anything hanging out the top of the plaque right here. Getting me a piece of duct tape because once I hot glue that jute on, I'm going to put the duct tape over it to give it some more secure hold. You can see I put the hot glue right on where my line was marked in the middle. I'm going to put my jute on there using my silicone spatula so I don't burn myself. Put some more hot glue over the top of it. Stick my duct tape on the top of that to get my little spatula out. And once this dries and solidifies, you have a very strong hanger, my friends. And it is ready to go. I'm pleased. I'm happy. I have been wanting to do this for so long, and it just looks so good. I'm just trimming it up here a little bit and making sure my decal is stuck down. If you didn't have a Cricut, then use a white paint pen or something. I'm showing you could clear it with some polyacrylic or Mod Podge, but I'm just going to keep this in the house so I don't have to worry about it getting wet or anything like that. Now I'm going to fry my twine to get the fuzzies off, and there we go. Hopefully you're seeing something new if you're a newbie. Hopefully you're seeing something new if you're one of my OGs. Keep on watching. Okay, we're going to take these 2 boards that I've had forever from the Dollar Tree. We're going to get the stickers off. I took all the paper off using some water and my scrapey tool. And I'm going to cut one piece into 2 pieces and then one big chunk off the bottom. So I'm going to cut those, and there's a 7.5, a 5.5, and a 3.5 inch. There's your sizes right there. For the longer one, the 7.5, I'm going to use Dusk by Waverly. For the middle one, 5.5, I'm going to use that Nautical Blue. And then for the little one, that's 3.5, I'm going to use a combination of the Lace and the Maize. I don't use the brown. I thought I was, but I'm not. Okay, I'm going to take a really chippy brush here, and we're going to take our paint, and I'm going to give this a really good distressing here. Notice I'm holding my brush sideways and not flat. See, I know it's kind of going fast, but I'm holding it sideways and going up and down and not flat. So just like the ends of the paintbrush are hitting the board and not the whole flat side, if that makes any sense. I saw Sammy from Unicorn Dust Designs do this, and I thought it was pretty cool. Did the same thing with the blue. Now, I wanted you to see my hot mess with the little one right here. So first I start off with that lace chalk paint right there. And that's too white. Well, then I took my maize, and that's too yellow. So this went back and forth for I don't know how long. See all that yellow and white all over? Yeah, anyway, finally got it where I wanted it. Now I'm going to take some white and some black chalk paint. and the toothbrush again, and we're going to do the flicky motion because I want spots and stars. I'm going to start with the black so that it doesn't cover up the white. Once I get done with the black, I will move on to the white. And I did use a different brush, obviously. And you can see it splattered on here, so I'll slow it down. See how good that looks? Kind of looks like stars, like when I did my Oh Holy Night sign back at the 12 Days of Christmas. The black didn't turn out very good, but you know what? It's okay. It's all good. Now I'm going to take some sandpaper, and I'm just going to sand down those edges really, really good because I want that brown to come back through. That was the original board, that fake MDF stuff from the Dollar Trees. And I'm going on the edges and in the corners especially. Take my microfiber cloth here. Going to kind of wipe it off. Give you a little show of how that looks here in just a second. See, I love the way those corners and those edges are distressed. That one's not, but this one is. I'm going to go ahead and do that to the other two. Look how good that yellow one looks. And I went ahead and sanded all the way around. Okay, but I still had to put my antique Waverly wax on it. And I got started in the corners and all over and then thought, oh, crudolies. I've got vinyl stickers to put on here, and they won't stick if I got all that all over it. So freeze, wait, stop. One star, one night, one child. I got this inspiration off of Walmart, actually. And you do not even have to do it in yellow, a dark blue, and a light blue. They had like a green, a red, and a light blue for their colors of their 3 boards. I went with these 3 because they're the 3 that I wanted. So for the one star, I did yellow. One night is the dark blue nautical. And the one child is the dust color. Now that I'm done with that, I can get after it with my antique wax. The great thing about antique wax, if I don't like it, I can go back and wipe it off like I did with that yellow one right there. And then I'm just making sure those edges where that brown, where I sanded it off and the wood was showing, that it's really popping now that I got the antique wax on there. So I'm just going all the way around there, and they all can sit on top of each other. You can set them all spread out. All right, guys, that's it right there. I hope you got some good inspiration there. Best part of the season, the reason all for it. Check out those links in the description box, and I'll be bringing you news soon. I love y'all.